Good morning. It's another rather cool and wet and windy day. According to this film, it says it's nearly 9:15, but in fact it's nearly 10:15. I got up at 9 o'clock and I was still awake at 4:30. I had rather a lot of pain yesterday, and I normally do not take morphine after early evening because it keeps me awake, but I broke that particular rule last night because I was in too much pain and realised I wouldn't sleep anyway, so I might as well be without the pain, and I was. And this morning it's not so bad, it's more like a toothache rather than, oh, I don't really know how you describe it, but never mind. I also shared something rather quickly through the laptop video thing about whether or not I should go back to Australia, and I'm really glad I did, because it concentrated my thoughts about it, and I have come to a few, maybe just one, realisation. I'm not going to go. Now, I had people suggest that yes, maybe it would do me some good, and other people say no, definitely don't, and other people say, well, it's really up to you, which of course it is. And John being John, he said it was also completely up to me and he would do whatever I wanted, which that's so typical of him. But it made me understand what the feeling is that I get when I watch Neighbours, which I do religiously every day, and more because of it being Australian rather than it being fine drama, although I don't see anything wrong with it, to be honest, and some of the actors are really good and I don't know why people take the piss out of them. I think it's just because it's a soap opera and you're supposed to. But anyway, that's really all beside the point. I came to realise that the feeling I get when I talk with Australians or converse with them via the internet or meet them, you seem to meet an awful lot of them about now. I mean, even one of my vets is Australian and she's not the first one. And the feeling I have is one of sadness. And I was thinking that the feeling I got was homesickness. And what made me realise it is that one of my email buddies, Tony, read what I'd written, sorry, I don't write on my blog now, I speak on it. She listened to that and wrote to me immediately, and once again she didn't tell me what I ought to do, and in fact she said that she would love me to come, but and she just said a few things. Anyway, when I was writing back to her, I realised that I actually would hate to go back. I mean, seriously hate it, because what I actually wrote to her was, well, there's no one in my town I'd want to meet, no one at all. And I would hate to go there and be recognised. I wouldn't want that either. The very thought of that turned my stomach. And if the teacher who was a child pornographer was still there, well, can you see this isn't really a very good idea? No. And whilst I do understand that some people sort of got the impression that this is a part of me that still requires healing and is holding me back, it isn't at all. No, it's just this feeling that I get that I didn't understand, which I now do, is one of sadness, and that's really quite normal. It's a place that is beautiful, wide open spaces. Actually, it was Tony that brought that up, that of course I hanker after the wide open spaces because that was my freedom over there. I was able to get away from my family, from the bullies, from this teacher, by going just out into the bush on my own. And that's what I used to do. I sometimes used to go and ride a horse all day on my own, or bicycle ride. And I think I'm also sad at what could have been and what wasn't. But I don't want to go back. I don't want to turn the clock back either, because I wouldn't have what I have now. I mean, I couldn't want for anything better. I got far more than I ever dreamed possible. I did get what I always dreamed about, which was my sort of Prince Charming arriving on a horse to save me. That did happen. And we have lived happily ever after, except of course it's not going to be ever after, we know that. And that's one of the worst things about being in a long-term relationship that people tend not to think about when they're young, that, you know, there is no happy ever after. But we won't go into that one either. God, I don't want to get too miserable this morning. So what the fuck do I say then if I don't want to get too miserable? Did it again, I swore. But that's just me. Now, it's funny, I was beginning to wonder whether this was a good idea, the video thing, rather than the typing thing. And I was going to ask that question, but I'm not going to now, because I've had several people write to me unbidden saying, oh, how they really like this rather than the reading. And I'm sure there are some people out there that would much prefer to read. But you see, when I do it this way, I don't edit. When I write, I edit. And maybe this is better for that reason. Maybe it's also worse for the same reason. But there we are. Anyway, I'm wearing another one of those shirts that Turkish, German, Arabic woman designs. I don't know what she is. I know she's German, but she's not German, if you know what I mean. I buy them in Germany, but she's clearly Middle Eastern, and she speaks that way. But I think this is lovely. Now, on my screen, it's showing up as blue, and I know from my experience when I'm photographing yarn that until I farted about with it on the computer, my purple yarn looks blue. And maybe this is going to be the same when it's on the screen, I've really no idea. And if that's the case, just remember that this is a purple shirt and not a blue shirt. It's lovely anyway. And this material that she uses, I think, is some sort of microfiber, and it's wonderful. It feels really nice against the skin, and it hangs nicely. And all you do is wash it and hang it. You don't have to iron it or anything like that, which is just as well, because I don't iron anything. Even when I get all done up for the dog shows with my Victorian collared shirts. Did you know that? I don't iron them. Why bother? I have a jacket on and a waistcoat. You're not going to see it's not ironed. Haven't got any time for that. Anyway, do you know, I'm sure I was going to say something really profound this morning, and that seems to have disappeared. But oh, there was something that really bugged me that I heard yesterday about I really can't remember. I did have a chat with my doctor. I had quite a fairly long chat with her. And we were talking about surgery, or rather I was. And she pointed out to me that there's no chance. Because my spine cannot be operated on. Because of the disease I have, there's nothing that can be done. And what we're talking about basically is epidurals when the time comes, and nerve blocks and burning of the nerves, and oh, I'd rather put all that off, thank you very much. And anyway, I'd quickly say that what it did make me realise, going back to this Australia thing, that John and I need to take a big trip when he retires in April, and we're probably going to do that to America and Canada for about a month, maybe 6 weeks, assuming I can get over my fear of flying. So we'd like to do that, and we'd like to drive across America, or Canada actually, safer, and maybe get the train, you know, from one end to the other. That'd be rather nice. The Toronto-Vancouver thing would be lovely to do. But I realise we need to do it, and we need to do it fairly soon before I can't. And, well, listen, YouTube for some reason only lets me upload 10 minutes, so that's why I sort of rush through at the end. Other people can upload an hour and a half. I don't understand that. Anyway, see you later.